Nili Doshpan.
Oh.
Understand a contest. He's one of the 16. Afunsa, why is watching? It's just like someone comes up. Why am I? So, the civil society organization, for me, that is where the hope, looking at what we are getting now from the opposition political parties, I'm hoping that the civil society organization will rise above board and be able to ask critical questions and offer checks and balances to this government on behalf of the Zambian people. But so far, I think let us wait and see. There are political parties that did well in the just ended general elections, and for me, maybe one or two of the 16 will be able to offer credible checks and balances where even government will be able to respond. But with such, I think even government is wasting, government officials or those that are in the UPND alliance are even wasting time to be responding to such, rhetorics or such claims or such unwarranted attacks which cannot even, hold any water.
Mm. We do have a lot of conversation that is in the midst of us in this country, Zambia. We take a look now at a very critical component of ourselves, which is health. Now, in the health sector, the biggest conversation so far has been around the 10,000 doses of COVID-19, suspected COVID-19 vaccines that were destroyed by the Zambia Medicines and Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA. Now, these vaccines are believed to have been brought into this country by a company whose core business is supposed to be about earth-moving equipment, and it belongs to a former close friend of the former Republican President Edgar Lungu Valden Findlay. Now, pharmaceutical expert Jerome Kanyiga has questioned why the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, has destroyed a consignment of the 10,000 doses of a suspected fake COVID-19 vaccine imported into the country without authorization by an importer. This is named Charisma Earth Moving Equipment in secrecy, and did not invite the media to witness the process. The company which brought into the country the unregistered and unauthorized suspected COVID-19 vaccines, Charisma Earth Moving Equipment, says the destroyed vaccines worth $150,000 US dollars purported to have been manufactured by Gulf Pharmaceuticals in the United Arab Emirates have been destroyed. Joining us in studio this morning is pharmaceutical expert Jerome Kanyiga. We're going to be looking at what the papers are saying on this particular story as this conversation goes. Mr. Kanyiga, good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Show.
Good morning, Sid, and good morning, the viewers.
This conversation was a little unsettling, very unsettling, if I should say, when we heard there was COVID-19 vaccines, but then these vaccines were not amongst the authorized vaccines by the Ministry of Health. And then in a split of a second, we hear these vaccines have been destroyed. Then we hear statements all over Ministry of Health, saying they had no idea of these vaccines. Then we hear the company involved saying that these vaccines were actually not bought. These vaccines were donated. There's so much cloud on this story. What do you make of these, happenings from a pharmaceutical point of view?
I think it's very much actually unfair for the Minister of Health to lash first to distance itself. Mm-hmm. And I think you need now to know how much rot is at the Minister of Health and how much corruption is happening at the Minister of Health. For the past 7 years or so, Minister of Health has been making headlines concerning corruption and other activities that are not worthy to be called the Ministry of Health. So for me, in terms of what they are saying, I think it's something very much unacceptable, and in this situation, Ministry of Health cannot wash off its hands, as it itself knows the beginning of this and also up to the end. as you know very well, all the pharmaceutical companies that are manufacturing the vaccines, before they send the vaccine to any country, they are first asking for the letter or endorsement from the Ministry of Health in that particular country. That's when they go ahead and send the vaccine to that country. They are not selling or sending the vaccine to individuals. That is something very much we are all aware, and the ministry is also aware. So in this situation, we should know very well that the vaccines came on the 2nd of July. And if you know very well, in July we had the PF government. And by then, Mr. Findlay and the former head of state were still, even up to today, I can say they are still close friends. And Mr. Findlay was just walking in and out of State House. Then on the other hand, there was the Ministry of Health. So even if he was bringing that, how can the Ministry of Health again question Mr. Findlay if he says, I'm bringing these vaccines to Zambia? Because they know very well that this one is very closer to the head of state. And those people are employed by the head of state. So in terms of them washing off their hands, I think it's something very much unacceptable. And as if you check all the companies that are producing the vaccines, the minimum order they can give to you is about 1,000 or 1 million doses of the same vaccine. So now, for him to get 10,000 doses, I'm still asking questions. Why getting 10,000 doses? Where are the other doses of the vaccines? Because there is no any pharmaceutical company that is giving the vaccines 2,000 doses, 3,000 doses. No. They are following up the batches. They are giving batches. So you need to get like a batch of that. Oh, sorry for that. They are giving a batch for. They are giving a batch for any country, and that batch is going about 1 million doses or so, which is happening. Now, here's the funny thing. Let me. I don't know if you have been following the update of the Ministry of Health, the way they have been updating concerning the vaccines. When Sinopharm vaccine was given to the Zambian people, did they mention that there is Sinopharm vaccine that have come and we are going to start giving the Zambian people? Or you just ate with the PS mentioning the numbers and mention that we have this number that have received the Sinopharm vaccine? He just mentioned, he didn't say that we have this until when we start questioning. And I was among the people who asked the question. That's when they had to say, that's when we had the PS saying that no, these vaccines actually are made for the Chinese. After asking the PS. So even this vaccine, we are also, if the PS on the elections would have just said that, no, there is also another these vaccines that you have already started giving the people. And when you check the statement from Mr. Findlay, he said he was planning to give the donation to the government facilities, to health facilities. And as you know very well, we don't have any private facilities that are vaccinating. Do we have any? We don't have. So this again brings out a lot of questions. And you need to ask yourselves, why is the Ministry of Health trying to distance itself? Which, for me, I say the Ministry of Health cannot distance itself from this scandal, as it is the one that is at the center of this scandal. You know very well that Zambia Medicine Regulatory Authority, the one that's supposed to test these vaccines and the one that are mandated to handle the issues of vaccine and drugs, they issued a statement, should be on Monday. And in their statement, they were also contradicting themselves. That's when, from the statement from Zamna, you can know that these people have been instructed to say what they were supposed to say. And that instruction can come from their bosses. And who are the bosses for Zamna now? It's the Ministry of Health.
Can a transaction, or can an activity such as the one that occurred, where these vaccines were destroyed, happen without the knowledge of the Ministry of Health? especially on a very serious matter such as a fake, in inverted commas, COVID-19 vaccine. The Ministry of Health will have no idea that this is happening in the country which they are presiding over.
I think that's not true. Maybe let me just read what the law says. Yeah, let me read what the law says concerning the same. Yeah, just a minute, so that the people of Zambia
can get the full detail.
Yeah,
and
understand what what we are talking about.
And as you respond to this question, there's also the issue to do with if this matter is taken to court, where is the evidence? If these things they say have been destroyed, if they were destroyed, where were they destroyed? If they were destroyed, why were we not informed of this particular process? Filmed it that indeed 10,000 doses. These are the 10,000 doses that were received. And this is the process of these doses being destroyed. Why all this secrecy, in dealing with this matter?
Yeah, you see, no wonder me I'm saying that if we focus our energy in pushing our blame to the young boys in this thing.
Which by young boys? Which ones are by young boys?
Zambia. Those are young boys. They know nothing. Those is just a matter of a call, and they do whatever they are taught. Those we should even forget about them. But let's take Minister of Health. Let's take the PS there. It's a problem there. The PS is a problem, and let me read the laws so that you can know why the PS is a problem.
Sure.
Yeah. When you check in the Medicine and Allied Substance Act number 3 of 2013, it will tell you. Let me go in party 2 actually, where the party 2 of the act. I wish the act was projected by the viewers so that the viewers can also read, but I don't know if you have it.
You said which one am I looking for?
The Medicine and the Allied Substance Act.
All right.
Okay. Now, okay, we need to know. Let me read on party 2. I'm just looking for the specific. Okay, so let me go to party 4, party 2, section 4, which I will start with. In this section, is talk about the issues to do with the board and everything, and the director. Yeah. So when you go to part 1, first it talks about the seal. The seal of the authority shall be such device as may be determined by the authority and shall be kept by the Director General. Then subsection 2, it goes to say, affixing the seal shall be authenticated by the chairperson or the vice chairperson and the Director General or other person authorized on that behalf of the resolution of the board. Subsection 3 says, contract or instrument which entered into or executed by the person not being a board corporate would be acquired under seal may be entered into or executed without a seal on behalf of the authority by the Director General or any other person generally or specified authorized by the board in that behalf. So now in this situation we are talking about the Director General and the board. Now ZAMLA has no board. So I want to go now down further to where to the board, functions of the authority. Okay, constitution of the board. Okay, this is now part 2, section 7, subsection 1. It talks about the board, how the board will be constituted. Then there, when you go to subsection 2, it says how the board members are supposed to come. Then let me go direct to 3, subsection 3, where it says the minister shall appoint the chairperson of the board from among the members. 4, the members shall elect the vice chairperson of the board from themselves. 5, a person shall be nominated or appointed as a member of the board if the person is the what and all those things. Then 8, when you go to section 8, it also talks, it continues talking about the board. It says the board shall, subject to the provision of this act, perform the following functions. So these are the functions of the board. Review the policy and strategic plan of the authority. Oversee the implementation and successive implementation of the policy and function of the authority. Approve the annual budget of the authority. Monitor and evaluate performance of the authority against budget and plan. Establish and issue guidelines and standards for the purpose of the act. Then it goes further to talk about other things that's supposed to be on the board. Now, when you check further, when you go reading, continue further, you'll find that in the absence of the board, the law provides for that. Because of time, I may not go there. The law provided for that. So in the absence of the board, the ministry or the minister for health now is the one who the director general should be reporting to. And in this situation, we don't have the minister. So now turns out to be the PS. And when you check very well for the PS, is the one now who's the boss, is the one now like the board. And before Zamna does anything else, they need to get instruction from their boss, who's the permanent secretary. When you go now, let's go to the same way I've said that Zamna is just the boys, and according to the law that guides them, they have already obligated the law themselves. So let's not concentrate about them. You go to party 9. Go to party 9, section 56, and subsection 1, 2, 3. When you go there, party 9, it says a person okay. Let me check properly.
So I said part 9?
Party 9. Let's check party 9.
So
That's there's issues of check for me party 9.
part 9, it's section 56, 1. A person aggrieved with the decision of the authority may appeal to the minister within 30 days.
We are talking about let's talk about, we are talking about the import. I want to where it says the importation, national drug quality.
A person shall not manufacture, import, or export to distribute.
Yes, actually that's the one I
So that's 59, 59.1.
59.1, sorry, 59.1.
So it says a person shall not manufacture, export, import, or distribute, sell, store, or deal in any manner with substandard, counterfeit, adulterated, or misbranded medicines or allied substances.
Then when you go to 1, then 2, when you check 2.
A person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable upon conviction to a fine not exceeding 2 million penalty units or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 4 years or both.
3.
In addition to the penalty provided in section 2, in subsection 2, the court before which a person is convicted of an offense under this section may order that any medicines or allied substances in respect of which the offense is committed be forfeited to the state to be destroyed.
So when you check here, they have not said Zamna will destroy. It is the state. You see? It is the state, not Zamna. Zamna is not the state. No? That's an authority that deals with drugs. So if you yourself, you have imported something illegal or something fake, first you need to be taken to the court, then the court fine you, or the court passes a verdict on you. Then after they do that, then the court will issue a court order to get those products and be destroyed by the state in the witness of the other people. But in this situation, did Zamna do that? So no wonder I'm saying those are boys. They were told by the big guns to say, can you destroy that? Because the big guns want to cover themselves. And who's the big gun here? Is the permanent secretary for health. Because he's the boss for Zamna. You see, whoever is the permanent secretary there is the boss for Zamna. And we presume that the instruction came from that person. That the person says, no, the instruction didn't come from me. Then what is the person waiting for? To fire those people at Zamna for their incompetence. Because it means that they went against the law that brings about Zamna and the law that we have put across as a country on dealing with the counterfeit or fake medicines. Now, in this situation, when these things came in July, Mr. Findre still had serious influence on the Zambian government and the other government institutions. When people heard that it is Charisma Earth Moving Company, they knew that this belongs to Mr. Findre. Who's going to touch those products? You know very well that my last born is 1 year, and I need this job for whatever. Then you go touch Mr. Findre. You want your job to be finished with immediate effect. So those guys at Zamna, they are small boys. But now, what involvement is the Ministry for Health, especially the top management at Ministry of Health? We should know very well that Mr. Findre was a close friend to the former head of state, and is a close friend to the former head of state. And the former head of state is the one who appoints the permanent secretaries. So how can you remove now Malama? How can Malama today comes and say, we don't know and we recommend Zamna for doing that? How can you recommend Zamna to do an illegal activity? Who does that? That's what the Malama said. We recommend Zamna for seizing and destroying. Using which law? Zamna has not followed the law. This is now what you need to say. Malama is also somehow involved. How can he rush to say, we recommend Zamna to do an illegal activity? If me, I'm your junior, then you, my boss, you go, I've done something illegal. Then you rush to say, I'm recommending my junior to do this illegal activity. What are the people going to say? You are involved, I'm covering your tracks, is it not so? So in this situation, we are saying, Malama is being covered by Zamna for destroying the evidence. Mr. Findre today is what? Is a free man, because the evidence has been destroyed. What we expected to Zamna to do when they discovered that these were for Mr. Findre was supposed to say Zamna to swing into action, go with the police, get Mr. Findre, throw him in jail, then take him to court, then let the court do its work. Then after the court has finished its work, then we know that, then they say, oh, you can go now and destroy these things. Then we expected a message from Ndeke House to come out to say, we congratulate or we are happy with the work for Zamna for what they have done. But not this premature, where Zamna has obligated the act. That's when you go say that we congratulate them for doing the correct thing. No. That indicates or implicates that Malama is part of this all bad deal.
Kelvin, this conversation doesn't seem to, get boring. It gets interesting by the day, because several revelations are being made by the Ministry of Health, by Zamra, and now we have got Mr. Kanyika here who is saying these things that are being said are not in accordance with the law. This is what the law stipulates, and this is what has been done. What is your assessment of how the 150,000 US dollars worth of suspected COVID-19 vaccines that were destroyed?
I think clearly it shows that there is more to what we saw and what we are being told now from the PS in charge of Ministry of Health. But again, I would like to find out more from Mr. Kanyeka here, who is calling Zamra as small boys, when this is an authority that is, given the responsibility of looking after medicines, what is important in this country, and what people are given. So Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, this is an authority. Why are you calling them boys? Why are you calling, you know, because if you're just going to call members of staff at Zamra as boys, then what do you call them?
You see, one thing that we need to know very well, you see, I'm calling Zamra to be boys, and to just, because it's just a phone call to Zamra, and they are instructed.
So you are calling them boys, what about the authority?
The authority itself, I can say the authority itself, it has a lot of power. But the people who are there, they have been instructed by their boss.
Despite
the authority having power, despite the authority being an act of parliament, anything which is an act of parliament itself, it has an autonomous in it. But in this situation, they allowed themselves to be used. You see? That's what I can say. They allowed themselves to be used to destroy the evidence, which they are not supposed to do that.
Now, Mr. Kanyika, one may wonder, because what we have now is that the UPND Alliance are in government. If such a thing can continue to happen, where an authority, which is an act of parliament, and members of staff, they are called boys and have continued to commit illegalities, then who is in charge of the country?
You see, that's a good question. You should know that President HH is just in State House for about 9 days or 10 days today, if I'm not mistaken. And he is systematically moving slowly according to the way he sees things to be. But very soon, even this institution will be actually taken care of. But now, we cannot rush to say, let's take care of Zamra before we take care of the main problem, the head. You see? And in this situation, we dealt first with the main head, also President Edgar Lungu out. Now we need to look about the middle of the head before we go to the toes, who are Zamra in this case. So we need now to look at Ministry of Health. Here, they are also the main culprit. We were saying that Chitaru was wrong. Chitaru was fired for one big case. Then instead of doing that, we saw that after Chitaru gone, there was Jonas Chandauke, he left. Then in this process, when the ministers are not there, we have been given a surprise by the Minister of Health. And what surprise have they given us? They have given us the fake vaccines, and they have rushed to destroy the evidence. That tells you to say that the problem is still with those technocrats. And who's the leader of the technocrats in this? Is a permanent secretary. So that's where the problem is.
There is another question that has not been responded to, Mr. Kanyika. The vaccines, the vaccine that was destroyed came as a donation, according to Mr. Finley. It was a donation, and people are wondering, how can a country donate to a human being or a company, and then a company to donate to a nation? How is there any truth? Because Mr. Vauden said this was a donation from United Arab Emirates to his company, and then the intention was to donate that vaccine to government to start administering. It was not meant for sale, and it didn't invest any money.
You see, no wonder we say we need professionals in dealing with these things. From Mr. Findre, you can say that this guy knows nothing about pharmaceutical industry. From what he said, you can say that this guy knows nothing what happens in the pharmaceutical industry. And this is what has been a problem. No wonder the PF government used to give contracts to cadres to supply medical equipment to the Zambian government that are used in the fight against COVID. So this is where you need to worry yourself. There are a lot of contracts that were given to people or to companies that don't even have pharmaceutical licenses for them to bring those things into Zambia. And this case of Mr. Findre can be part of those cases. When you read very well the Diggers newspaper for Monday or Tuesday, it clearly states that there was some tendering. And yes, there was some tendering in the COVID the supply for this product. And if you know very well, in the 2021 budget, there was some money that were put aside to say for procurement of the vaccines. And so we presume that these vaccines, there was a tender and Mr. Findre won the tender without even the pharmaceutical license, having a pharmaceutical license, having even a pharmacist to be there. but he won and he was given the tender to supply. Now he was bringing something to
So
say.
if indeed that was a donation to Mr. Vowden, you
No,
wanted
no,
him
no,
to
that's not
refuse?
a donation.
That
That's
is
not
what
a,
you're saying.
No, no, that's not a donation. All the donations are followed by the WHO guideline. And the one, there is no pharmaceutical company that is giving donation to individuals. No. We have seen the donation from the French government. We have seen the donation from the US government.
To an individual?
Not individual, to the government. I'm giving you an example.
So government to government?
Government to government. So here, for saying that Mr. Findre, as an individual, wants to do that, no, that's not true. And when you check, if you check what we read in the news diggers, the consignee or the receiver for those vaccines was indicating that it's Ministry of Health. So how can Ministry of Health today try to stay away to say, no, we don't know about this? And we know, all of us, the relationship between Ministry of Health, Mr. Findre, and the former head of state.
I know that SN will come in. Now that the vaccine was destroyed or has been destroyed.
That was wrong again.
Yes.
They are not supposed to be destroyed.
Now that it has been destroyed, what next?
I think now we are waiting for President HH to now overhaul the entire ministry. It is reason enough to overhaul the entire ministry. Okay, what next?
That is the only
has
thing
been
that should be
destroyed.
done.
Look, my friend, this phone here, I steal this phone from you. Then you come and get your phone back. Then you want me to go to the court? Then the court, they'll ask, where's the evidence that you are storing? I know the evidence, there's no evidence, it's not there. Then why are you keeping this person, or why you bring this person to the court? So what evidence is a ZAMRA or Ministry of Health going to show the courts about the vaccine? They have destroyed the vaccines. According
So
to
the
ZAMRA's
Ministry of
statement,
Health should be overhauled.
should be overhauled.
That is what.
And all the appendages to the Ministry of Health, as you know very well, concerning the issues of the COVID, we have institutions that are involved here. We have Ministry of Health, we have ZAMRA, we have Zambia National Public Health Institute, we have also the COVID response technical working team. When such decisions are made and given contracts, all these institutions are involved. So if we say we need total overhaul, all these institutions need to be totally overhauled. That's when the people of Zambia are going to have confidence in the Ministry of Health.
Yes, sir.
This is what ZAMRA had, issued in their statement. So they quoted the same act. So it says, in conducting the due diligence, ZAMRA had engaged Charisma Earth Moving Equipment by guiding the importer that the following were required to import the COVID-19 vaccine. Number 1, pharmaceutical license. The Medical and Allied Substances Act number 3 of 2013 requires such a person who intends to bring medicines into the country to 1, be a holder of a pharmaceutical license. However, a non-pharmaceutical entity importing medicines with an intent to donate to a licensed health institution may do so, provided that the medicines are delivered to the recipient upon arrival. Marketing authorization. Prior to placing, so these in this context, those medicines were supposed to be delivered to Ministry of Health.
Yes,
upon arrival.
those vaccines were supposed to be given to the Ministry of Health. And when you check the standard operating procedures that has been developed by WHO and given to all the pharmaceutical companies that are manufacturing these vaccines, and as you know very well, that all these vaccines are being authorized, or they have been given emergency authorization license by WHO, because when developing the medication or developing a drug, it may take a period of 10 to 15 years. But because we are in a serious pandemic, so we have curtailed some steps to allow the vaccine be developed and it be used on the humans so that we fight this pandemic. And one of the conditions, you need to show whatever the company that is giving you these vaccines, the authorization or the endorsement letter from the Ministry of Health. And in this situation, since we have 10,000 doses that came, we presume that the Ministry of Health authorized or give Mr. Findre an endorsement letter to say, yes, we know about this deal, and we shall receive as a ministry. That's when he went on. And just waiting for the PF to win the election on 12 August.
In the second part, they say marketing authorization prior to placing a medicine for use on the Zambian market. Medicines, vaccines included, are required to be registered by ZAMRA in line with the said act. And number 3, import permit. A person who intends to import medicines is required to be in possession of an import permit issued by ZAMRA. So the above requirements, which were communicated to the importer in writing, were not fulfilled. This followed a written notice by ZAMRA of seizure and destruction, as the importer did not meet the legal requirements as stated above. The notice was received by a representative of the procuring entity on 26 August 2021. In addition, a seizure form was signed by the said representative to show consent, and this was used to release the vaccine consignment to ZAMRA by ZRA on the 27th of August 2021. On the same day, the vaccines were destroyed.
Out there. No wonder I'm telling you to say, these are boys at ZAMRA. They are boys. The seizure notice was written when? On what? 26 what?
August.
Sure, the things were withheld at the airport when?
2nd July.
2nd July. No wonder I'm saying, these are boys. And they are trying to, you see, the more they talk, the more they are smiling themselves in this matter. They let them stay away from this matter. And let's talk about their boss, who's the permanent secretary here, at the Ministry of Health, to be a problem. You see, the way it is, go back to the law and read the law, what it talks about someone importing an illegal product. Why is ZAMRA keep talking while they have already obligated the law that makes them? We are just reading about the MASA, Medicine and Drug Substance Act. That brings about ZAMRA. ZAMRA does not exist by itself. There is a law that makes it. And from what they do, they follow that law that makes ZAMRA. And in the law clearly states that once you are found with that situation, they are supposed to take that company or the proprietor of that company to where?
Court.
To a court. Did they do that? No. But they went further to destroy. Why ZAMRA destroy? Well, in terms of destroying, it clearly states that the state is the one that's supposed to issue a court order. Is there a court order? Have ZAMRA talked about the court order? No. So they should stop talking. They seized these things in July, and they wrote a letter on 26th.
See,
After hearing that there is a change of government.
They say they were seized by ZRA. They were seized by ZRA. But they say on the same day the vaccines were destroyed by incineration method at the ZAMRA incineration compound.
You see, what I'm saying, they cannot cover up the wrongdoings. Who were observing or who witnessed the same destruction of the cell? What if Mr. Findre comes and say, no, you are alleging that I brought in the vaccines, but those were not vaccines, were just water. What are you going to use to say no? And what did ZAMRA use to know that these are vaccines? Because what is written there is not a guarantee that these yes are vaccine. They need to do the test. What test did ZAMRA do? So now I'm saying, the more ZAMRA talks, the more they put mud on themselves.
So they say the procedural steps undertaken by ZAMRA to engage the importer, Chrisma Engineering, or Chrisma Earth Moving Equipment rather, until when the vaccines were destroyed, were routine. So this is nothing new. This is what ZAMRA does, according to this statement.
No. You people,
this is routine.
You people, I follow movie TV very well. There was a case concerning Link Pharmacy. You see? Where Link Pharmacy was found with the drugs that had issues with the registration. You see? And ZAMRA took Link Pharmacy to court. And it was after whatever thing, it went to court. When it was there at court, that's when who's there, this guy for the state? Is it the Attorney General or the Attorney General, if I'm not mistaken? They entered into, is it now break?
No, they prosecute.
Yeah, not a prosecute, something like that. Not a prosecute over that matter. Link was taken to court for importing a thing that was, which I had no registration in Zambia. So what is so special? about this matter? What does the law talks, or what does the law say? And what was Zamra waiting for since 2nd July, and you come and write a letter on the 26th of August after seeing that there is a change of government? Can you trust Zamra with that? No, I'm saying these are small boys. Leave them. They know nothing. Let's concentrate on the big guns here. We have issues of Findre here. We have issues of the former head of state. We have issues of the permanent secretary for health. These are the people who knows about the issues of the vaccine. Not these boys. They are just bathing in the mud, which they cannot even themselves understand. That's what I can say.
So lastly, they say, in view of the said, the action carried out by Zamra was to ensure that the Zambian population is protected from the risk of using unauthorized vaccines whose quality, safety, and effectiveness was not guaranteed, as the named importer failed to meet the regulatory requirements. Based on the foregoing, the authority has urged members of the public who intend to import COVID-19 vaccines, including other medicines and allied substances for use on the Zambian market, to ensure that the right processes and procedures are followed in accordance with the Medicines and Allied Substances Act, number 3 of 2013, to avoid stringent
They are talking
measures.
about, in that statement, they are talking about the act, which themselves they have failed to follow. Have they followed the act in dealing with this matter? They have not followed. So how can they tell the members of the public to follow the act, which themselves have failed to follow?
Allow me, Mr. Kanyika, to bring in one or two calls, and then we wind up with this conversation, Kelvin, this morning, as we prepare for a Saturday for the biggest breakfast show in the land, the Breakfast with the Boys, which comes your way tomorrow. 0764250055 is the number that you're calling to join this conversation. Let us know what your thoughts are on these topics that we are discussing this morning. 0764250055. That is the number that you're calling. Let us know where you watch from, but as well give us an idea of what is going on in your area as of this morning. We'll also take time to read one or two comments on our online platform, Ask Movie Television. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very fine, thank you. How are you?
Am I through to Movie TV?
Yes, you're through to Movie TV. This is the breakfast show. Your name and where are you calling from?
This is Mr. Munimba calling you from Mongo.
Mr. Munyimba, please go ahead.
We just want to know why did the Zamra quickly rush to destroy the vaccines before taking a legal process? Because if the Act provides for that legal process to be undertaken, so let Zamra explain to the general citizen as to why they undertook that decision without following the due process of the law. What is so special about whether the doctor is this man confidently? Why are they not followed the Act? Because we want to know. We have a lot of incidents that have happened in the country. We have crashing incidents, people are not known up to date. Why is so special this man called Findre? Let Zama explain as to why they quickly rushed to destroy the evidence before following the due process of the law. So that as the citizens, we should know why these acts, were they illegal or they are legal? Because as so far as we have read from the Act, there should be a due court process. After the due court process, that's when the vaccine should be destroyed. I think it's high time we've been involved in illegality. And the Minister of Health, let them quickly explain why they authorized Zamra to destroy the substance, the vaccine. It's unfair, and it has been unfair for so long. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution. 07